Okay, good morning, everyone. We are live. I would like to welcome all members and guests to the November 19th, 2025 OPP Detachment Board meeting. I will remind everyone that our meetings are web streamed and televised. Please ensure that your phones are on silent mode. For those attending virtually, please mute yourself when not speaking. When called upon to speak, please turn on your camera and unmute yourself. For staff in attendance, please use the Microsoft Teams raise hand feature to be called upon and remove it after speaking. With that, I call the November 19th, 2025 OPP Detachment Board meeting to order. Roll call. All members of board are present. 2, approval of agenda changes to the agenda. Committee has the agenda before them. There is one addition to the agenda, and that would be to add item 4.1, the September 25th, 2025 OPP Detachment Board meeting minutes. At this time, are there any other changes to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as listed? Member Van den Rishi and seconder, Member Cruz, all those in favor? And that is carried. At this point, I'd like to ask, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Number 4 on the agenda, confirmation of the minutes from the previous meeting. Recommendation is that the minutes from the September 25th, 2025 OPP Detachment Board meeting be approved as presented. Were there any concerns or additions or anything like that with the meeting minutes? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion to accept those minutes? Member Veery, seconder. Member Van den Rishi, all in favor? And that motion is carried. Presentations, we have no presentations today. Number 6 on our item agenda, deputations. We do have one deputation today, and that is item 6.1, and that would be Jerry DeCarlos regarding false alarm. Jerry, if you'd like to come up to the podium. Okay, there's a button there on your right to turn on, and the mic should go red. Okay, we've been having some...
No, don't take mine.
We've been having some troubles with microphones. Okay, welcome, Jerry. You have 5 minutes for your deputation. I will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining. Please begin.
Okay. I am sorry that the county has to nickel and dime someone who pays $60,000 in taxes in this county. And since my early years, 10 years old, there was gravel roads and very little out in the countrysides until tobacco really took over and built a lot of things up and helped the towns progress and paid for a lot of people to be successful in the area. Anyway, getting to the false alarm. This was an alarm that went off in the barn. And the first time they sent me a false alarm, they didn't even know which building it was. So I went in and talked to Bill, and Bill excused it because they didn't have anything. If they're going to charge us fines, then we should get from the OPP board specifics on who called them and the reasoning for them to go there and what they saw once they got there. My security doesn't ask for police to attend. I demand that they don't call the OPP because there's a lot of times it may go off for different reasons, and I don't want to be in this situation. So I know they weren't called. I've got a paper here showing that. It says to disregard. If you want to see it, I can pass it around. I got 2 copies. And if and I'd like to know when they call these in and say that the alarm was going off, who notified them? People don't call car alarms going off in the parking lot when they're going off. My alarm runs for 10 minutes and then it quits. unless I reset the alarm, it doesn't do it again for that day. I will reset it the next day. There's people living there, so most of the times I would suspect that no one's there, but you're never sure. Maybe when the police come, the intruder leaves, so they really don't know if they're there or not. We just had Saturday at the Fisher's Glen farm, somebody smashed in the roadside door, the alarm went off. My nephew runs that place, and nobody attended, nobody cared. I mean, and so we take care of our own problems. What we want to do with the alarms is to be notified that something is going on. Technology is what it is. There's a lot of problems. I've got 2 bills here, one because of hydro. It was $1,000 thing just
Okay,
for
just
the-
can you speak into the mic? It doesn't pick it up when we're recording if you don't. Okay, thank you.
So anyway, because of Ontario Hydro, it cost us over $1,000 in repairs. I'm constant. These are only 2 bills from SecureTech. Rick takes care of our alarm system. We're constantly upgrading and fixing. I could have brought you 10 more of those. At least 4 for this year. That's only 2 out of this year. And it's not like we're negligent and don't care. We want it to work right. The last time I made them disconnect the outside horn, because then the inside horn at least would scare the people. So I've got to take that chance. I don't want to be in this situation. And a few other things were,
You have 1 minute remaining.
okay, Saturday, well, I told you about that. I told you about the home run. Yeah, and I've already explained everything that I'm going to explain. Everything has been done. And I can't believe, since I appealed this, that they had the audacity to charge interest and send me another bill. I mean, that's what the appeal is about, to make a judgment whether I should be charged or not. So anyway, that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If you could stay at the podium, and just in case, members will have an opportunity to ask questions. Okay, thank you. Member Cruz?
Thank you, Chair, and through you, Mr. DeCarlos, I'm assuming from the bills you're a farming operation?
Yes.
And the alarm went off twice, and you got charged twice by the county?
Yes.
For how much?
$200 a time.
So $400 total?
The first time, Bill eliminated the first one because the OPP couldn't even recognize if it was coming out of the house, coming out of a barn, or an outback barn.
Okay.
So he eliminated that one, and then this one came up. So, yeah, $200 each time.
And then interest on top of that for the
No,
for the
they
first one?
just added it on since I'm waiting for the appeal.
Oh, I see.
I didn't pay for it. It wasn't a great amount, but it doesn't matter. They shouldn't be charging interest if I'm appealing.
Okay, thank you.
Member Vanden Rishi?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. Thanks, Jerry, for bringing that to our attention. So these are the barn alarms that go off, and who calls? Like, how do the OPP know? I'm not curious.
The OPP, that's what I want to know,
Okay.
because I demand that SecureTech, we pay them $468 to monitor all the time. They call me, and they're even told, even if they can't get a hold of me or the people down below me, to don't ever call the OPP, we will take care of calling them. Because you have a feeling when something's really wrong,
Yeah,
right?
it could be something, yeah.
Yes.
I understand.
So I'm not going to run there every time. I did at the beginning. If one went off, I'd go and see just in case. But there's also a family of Mennonites that live there.
Okay, so-
And it's just to be secure, just like a trailer load of tobacco was missing.
Yeah.
If there would have been any kind of alarm system on that trailer, the police would have been notified right away. And my nephew does do that in Fisher's Glen. They've got motion detectors and everything else. So you can leave a trailer parked there loaded.
So what you're saying is, like, I mean, we get farmers where we are, and we still got some producers out there, and if their alarm goes off, which they do, sometimes you don't know if it's the alarm for the heat or if it's the alarm for the barn, you don't know what the alarm goes off, but the alarms go off, and I hear them. I don't call the OPP. Am I supposed to? So I'm curious, who would have called to make this move forward, to send out something else? I just need to have...
Okay, before you answer, Mr. DeCarlos, our clerk would like to
thank you.
answer this question.
Yes, thank you, Chair Huffman. I might be able to provide some information. So they're audible alarms, and both calls were called in by passerbys that heard alarms and did their civic duty by calling the OPP, hearing an alarm go off. So the OPP attended because they heard an audible alarm. And I did have a conversation with Mr. DeCarlos about changing maybe to a silent alarm. If the OPP are not to be notified, they could go with their security company to a silent alarm where he or a representative could be notified, and they could determine what action they wanted to take.
And I'll tell you where, great idea, up to a point. Like I say, being out in the farm area as well, the kill alarms will go off, and anybody could call that, and it's a kill alarm. So, to me, this is a fine line of how to understand or interpret it, because I would hate to see OPP come out because the heat on the kill has gone up too high. Like, you know what I mean? But it's an audible one because the farmer's in the field, or the farmer's at the house, or the farmer's over there. So he has to be able to hear it if that alarm goes off. So I think we are going to have to look into something to see something different. I can understand your plight.
And we did, I told you, we had Secure Tech de-wire the outside horn. There's only a horn inside now that it will go off, because I don't want to be in this situation again.
Okay, Member Ferry, did you have any questions? Oh.
I'll share
Okay,
mine
all
with
right.
you.
Okay. All right, if there's no other questions, I have a question. So with the internal alarm that you now have, how does that work?
Well, it's the same horn that's on the outside, but that's why I disconnected it, because I don't want passerbys. I don't want OPP driving in if it's not necessary. I don't mean to take people's time and waste it or costs. I don't want that. So I figured if people break in, the horn will go off inside, and I'm phoned anyway. The only thing is Secure Tech is told, even if they don't get me, I don't have a step-down phone. I told them, and Rick from Secure Tech will verify this, I didn't bring it with me, but they will not call the OPP unless I do it. I told them I will perform that part of it, because naturally they're supposed to phone right away. But with the people living there, and that's the farm where we keep most of the valuables, and I would expect they would see something going on also. So I'm not as afraid as if it was at Fisher's Glen, where nobody's around.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Member Cruz, did you have another question?
Thank you. I have a concern, not a question. I'm not sure all of this should be out in the public domain, actually, for Mr. DeCarlos' concern, right? About alarms and when they go off and how many there are and what properties have them and all that kind of stuff. That shouldn't be out in the public.
To the clerk, would you care to comment on that?
Yeah, there's nothing in the discussion today that's protected by confidentiality or the provisions that are allowed either in the Police Services Act or the Municipal Act to go in closed session to deal with this type of question. Mr. DeCarlos came to speak about a false alarm. How much detail he wants to provide to the committee is up to him, and he knows it's a public meeting as well. So, I mean, judge yourselves accordingly.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So I'm understanding to all the members that you have a clear, concise understanding of the situation. Mr. Carlos, this is, you are a bit of a guinea pig. This is our first deputation regarding the false alarms, and I know that it's been of some discussion. So at this point in time, I just want to confirm with the clerk the next steps.
So the next steps, Madam Chair, would be to thank Mr. DeCarlos and receive his deputation for information, and then discussion and decision on whether to waive or uphold.
Okay, so thank you very much for your deputation. We will have some discussion about that, and we will make a decision on this deputation. So could I have a motion to accept the deputation? Member Cruz and seconder, Member Veery, all those in favor? And that is carried. So at this point in time, Member Veery, Member Cruz, Member Vanden Rishi, and myself, are there any points that anyone would like to make? Any, Member Vanden Rishi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is concerning. I don't, the false alarm theory of it all is a little bit confusing to me. I needed to know, did the OPP actually go out?
And I will go to the clerk with that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Chair Huffman. So as of January to October, we've had 346 false alarm calls. The OPP attend alarm calls and then bill back to municipality as a fee for service. In the early 2020, council made the determination that since people spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on security systems for the capital input and hundreds of dollars annually to monitor these systems, that the general taxpayer should not be accountable for the costs of those service calls at the OPP bank. So it adds up to about between $60,000 and $70,000, so more than 0.5% of your levy. And I think the other important thing is there's an opportunity cost. As officers are being deployed to false alarm calls, they can't be deployed to other calls until those have been dealt with. Of the 346 calls that we've got since January that we've investigated, only 4% have been waived, and that's waived at administrative level. We have less than 10% that are appealed for consideration. So 90% of those that are invoiced for false alarm calls acknowledge that it's their responsibility for their alarm system and accept that. During special circumstances, and this one may be applicable in that case because we have confirmation that the individual has notified his security company not to call the OPP, that he will deal with that. And we've had Good Samaritans call in because of audible alarms as they pass by. So again, that's something the committee will have to wrestle with, I guess, in the determination on whether to waive or uphold the charge. So again, we have a lot of false alarm calls. It does take up OPP time. It is invoiced per call back to the municipality, and there is a direct responsibility of the individuals with alarm systems for the maintenance and care of those systems. So if I could answer any more questions, I'd be happy to do so.
Thank you very much.
If I can still have the floor?
Yes.
Do you mind? Thank you. But I didn't get an answer to that one, but, yeah. The question was, did OPP respond to that call?
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. Okay. So can there be a system in place that if you have a particular group or organization or a farmer or whatever that says, I don't want the OPP, my system should say no, and somehow a connect that says don't go out? Is that a possibility? In the way the system is built, is there a mechanism there to cancel the call type of deal? Because if you get Good Samaritans calling, it goes to the OPP detachment, correct? But if you had a list that said no response, no response, no response, like they don't want it, or they don't want it, or they don't, if that name came up, you don't send anybody out. Does that work? or not?
Thank you,
Yes.
Councillor. Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to retain individual lists. We share our provincial communication center at London with numerous detachments, and just based on that, if every detachment were to specifically nail down to alarm locations that are exempt, then it extends to towing services, then it extends to everything else, and it just becomes way overwhelming for our dispatchers and call takers.
Okay, thank you. I'll let the rest continue.
Member Cruz?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair, and through you. In my view, due to the circumstances here and the efforts put forward by Mr. DeCarolis, I support his appeal for special circumstances and support the waiving of the charges.
Member Veery, do you have anything to add?
Well, I didn't. The circumstances are hard because I agree with Mr. Cruz there, and I understand the perspective, and I just don't know where this ends, because I don't want everybody that gets a false alarm to show up here and start to appeal. So I don't know where that's at, but in this particular case, yeah, I definitely see what he's talking about. He's taken reasonable measures, I think, and I don't know what else we can do if the county gets that charge. It's a tough spot. I don't want to start encouraging farmers either to not have their alarms activated to avoid these charges. Like, that's also problematic. So it's a tough spot, but I don't know what else we could ask him to do.
Okay, thank you for your input. This one is a bit tricky because I think the highlight for me is it was the passerbys who called it in. I do appreciate the civic mindedness of the passerby, but I do understand that there were some repercussions to this. So from hearing Mr. DeCarlo speak, it sounds like he has made it clear with his security company that they're not to call the police. He has made arrangements to silence the outdoor alarm, which would stop then passerbys from calling this in. I believe he's done what he can to rectify the situation. So with that, I would like to go back to Member Cruz, and would you like to put that motion on the floor?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Member Veery? And at this point in time, all those in favor? That is carried unanimously. So with that, Mr. DeCarlos, your second one is waived. And we hope that all your steps work and we're not back here again. And to the general public, I would like to just make it clear that we are not going to just be waiving every false alarm. There is a security in place for this. It's very similar to the 911. Someone can call back to 911 and say, no, we're okay, but the OPP have a duty to attend to that call. It's very similar with the alarms. Sorry. And with that, I just wanted to add that later on in our agenda, we do have on the agenda an issue regarding thefts at farms, and it is quite a problem. So we do understand that the farming community needs to have alarms on their properties. So with that, we will move on to the next item. Okay. The next on the agenda is number 7, consent agenda. We have no consent items. Number 8, reports deferred from the previous meeting. We have none. And number 9, we have items for consideration. What I will do is I'm going to take 9.1 and just bring it down to the bottom. So we'll start with 9.2, and that will be Inspector Tate speaking to the September to October 2025 stats. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, everybody. Again, too, it's been at detachment at Norfolk County Detachment since January of 2025. It's been very busy. It's been nonstop, but I'm exceptionally proud of our members as always and how they've been navigating through this busyness and with some pretty significant investigations ongoing, whether it's property crime investigations or serious criminal events as well that we've been exposed to. So very, very pleased with how everybody's been working through that and navigating through that. And I'm pleased to provide the stats for September and October. So with respect specifically to violent crime, we have seen an overall decrease of 19.6% for this period, and a year-to-date decrease of 16.8% when compared to 2024. When looking at violent crime specifically, the largest number is 53, and that ranges under the category of assaults / firearm-related offenses. Again, those are both categorized together, but I would suggest that the 53 is more leaning towards assaults. And again, assaults can be a very, very wide range of that category as well. With respect to property crime, because I know that's been kind of heightened interest as well, and we can speak to it a little bit more later on. Property crime and events in Norfolk County saw an overall decrease of 4.3% for this period and a year-to-date decrease of 7.1% when compared to 2024. And again, overwhelmingly, the largest number was under the category of theft under $5,000 at 90. Moving forward with drug crime, we have, as far as our CSCU unit, but also our uniform members too, are fully engaged in making sure the streets are safe. There was reported, I think, a few months ago about Project Golden. That was a very, very large, multi-jurisdictional project that had tremendous impact, positive impact to Norfolk County in particular, and origins to Norfolk County. I do apologize. We were very overdue to bring the detective inspector involved in that project to come and do a little presentation. So he still is very much wanting to come and do that for everybody, and I think it'd be very, very, very interesting. It'd be a great presentation to see. With respect to drug crime, Norfolk County did see an overall increase of 75% for this period. So again, from September to October, and a year-to-date increase of 13.8% when compared to 2024. Trafficking being the largest category at 5. And again, too, I would suggest that that large increase would be primarily attributed to the large projects and the very, very proactive enforcement that our CSU members are doing right now. With respect to other crime, in Norfolk County saw an overall decrease of 47.9% for this period and a year-to-date decrease of 22% when compared to 2024. And again, too, just kind of keeping in mind here, other crime events refer to all events not captured as violent crime, property crime, or drug crime, and will consist of the categories of federal statutes, provincial statutes, driving-related offenses, etc. As far as unfounded occurrences, again, are occurrences that after investigation are deemed not to have occurred. Unfounded occurrences saw an overall decrease of 100% for this period and a year-to-date decrease of 99.2%. And I think that really attributes to, again, my sincere appreciation to Councillor Very for, I believe he brought that to our attention, that question about outstanding occurrences many months ago. So we did deep dive into that and uncovered that, and it really came down to improving data integrity. And by improving data integrity and closing off those, we're able to have that real significant impact there. Clearance rates. Clearance rates are the percentage rates at which investigations are cleared off. They will be fluid and may change often based on the status of investigations. So oftentimes we will see clearance rates of, at any 2-month period time may appear to be very low. And that's because we're kind of waiting, and property crime is kind of a good example of that, where you may see a very low initial clearance rate because there's ongoing investigations going on, ongoing projects, and then ultimately the person of interest is identified, subsequent charges are laid, arrests are made, and then you see that clearance come right up very quickly. So you can see with the clearance rates, they are very fluid oftentimes. Overdose occurrences. This is one that, and it's interesting, I had good conversation with my peers, other detachment commanders in West Region, and refreshingly and we're very, very pleased to see that it's pretty much uniform across West Region, for example, that we are seeing a decrease in opioid specific overdoses. Specific here, we saw a decrease of 50% for this period, and a year-to-date decrease of 47.05 when compared to 2024. And again, too, I really think that, again, the causal factors for that is just a myriad of reasonings and rationale. I think it can do with outstanding work with our community partners, with public health, with education, with the support that we're giving to people, and all of us, multifaceted within the county, within law enforcement, et cetera, to try to address that real critical issue. And it's nice to see that it is starting to come down. With respect to victim services referrals, we saw an overall decrease of 16.6% for this period, and a year-to-date decrease of 5.9 when compared to 2024. And again, in reviewing victim services referrals for September and October, 312 services were offered, with 143 being accepted, for an acceptance rate of 45.3%. So again, too, it's working collaboratively with victim services, and just I know we have had a little bit of change within victim services as well. One of the workers came to me about maybe 3 weeks ago asking to come and meet with our platoons in the morning at our shift briefings, just to do another educational session. And we have so many new members as well, and I think it's always beneficial just to kind of educate and make people know that there are these services there and when and how to use them. Motor vehicle collisions. All motor vehicle collision types in Norfolk County, so all categories, saw an overall decrease of 36.6% for this period, and a year-to-date decrease of 20.7% when compared to 2024. And I think a lot of that is attributed to back in January of 2025, always being proactive, always trying to be, looking at trends and trying to stay on top of things, how we can best address it. I was noticing within Norfolk County specifically that there was an observable spike in motor vehicle collisions, especially fatal motor vehicle collisions and serious PI motor vehicle collisions. So as a result, we did a very, very fulsome collaborative approach and created our own internal Norfolk County Detachment Motor Vehicle Collision Reduction Strategy, multi-pronged. So we did everything from, we based it on quarters. So each quarter we would do a 1-week blitz, focusing on the big four, and our analytics in showing a lot of the causal factors for a lot of our motor vehicle collisions was speed. So that being kind of an emphasis. As a result, all over the quarter, or at each quarter, we would use, again, a collaborative approach from using social media and education to educate everybody and educate the community, but we also did do directed enforcement. We'd use resources from West Region headquarters with our time teams and traffic enforcement teams to come down to assist as well, just to make it a very impactful event. I'm pleased to say that last week was the last quarter that we did, and so we finished it off with big success. As a result of this initiative, there were 1,025 traffic-related occurrences created on our RMS niche reporting system. E-ticketing occurrences, so basically officers issuing tickets, accounted for 624 of those, so you can see the enforcement impacts, as well as traffic enforcement calls for service were at 87. The officers also, part of the Big Four, did 96 total ride events and and as a result of ride events and also during this traffic initiative, there were 7 impaired occurrences that people were arrested for impaired driving as a result of this too. So again, during the initiative, there were 75 reported motor vehicle collisions. Motor vehicle collisions are down in all categories and by over 20% when looking at the year-to-date totals compared to 2024. So again, lots of warnings were issued as well, but there was significant impact here in this area. And again, it's very hard to predict driving behavior, as we all know, and with spikes and that. But what we tried to do very proactively was try to mitigate whatever we could and try to make a real distinctive impact. Because of the success in this, we will definitely be pursuing this again in 2026 as well. Sorry, I'll just continue with the motor vehicle collisions. That was our initiative. As far as specific to Norfolk County, property damage collision types in Norfolk County saw an overall decrease of 19.3% for the period and a year-to-date decrease of 23.4% for 2024. Non-fatal injury collision types in Norfolk County saw an overall decrease of 7.1% for this period and a year-to-date decrease of 6.3% when compared to 2024. Fatal collision types in Norfolk County saw an overall increase of 25% for this period and a year-to-date decrease of 8.3% when compared to 2024. So again, I do receive provincial operations center notifications for West Region across. So if there is a fatal motor vehicle collision in some other detachment area in West Region, I get the notifications as well, and I can say it's been pretty consistent across the board, across the region, just the instances. And again, my colleagues are very actively doing what they can as well and doing little initiatives, and it's just something we just try to adapt to and do the best we can. Charge and warning reports, the charge and youth charge reports breakdown. It's the total charges laid during the time frame year to date. And again, too, it also includes diversion and kind of a breakdown there. So subject to any questions on warnings and youth charges and dealing with youth as well, I can by all means try to share.
Do you want to ask your question now? Let's just wait till the end of the report, yeah.
Public complaints in Norfolk County saw an overall increase of 300% for this period and a year-to-date increase of 36.4% when compared to 2024. And again, when reviewing the public complaints for July and August, the breakdown was primarily for conduct complaints coming from the public. And again, too, it's, for me, really from a detachment commander perspective, 4 may seem insignificant, but that's 4 too many, as far as I'm concerned. And I think, again, it's ongoing conversations, ongoing education with our members, and the professionalism, making sure our members, we do have those ongoing discussions about aligning themselves with the mission, the values of the Ontario Provincial Police, the professionalism, what's expected of them in doing that. On a side note, with public complaints, with the independent complaint agency, LECA is the acronym, there have been several changes within that. Before, back many years ago, if somebody wanted to lay a public complaint, their only avenue was to physically come to the detachment or the police station, come to the front desk and ask to see a sergeant. And for obvious reasons, that wasn't very transparent, it wasn't very effective, and it definitely needed to be made independent and changed for that. So the way it is now, a lot of people can pursue a complaint process, public complaint process, in their house, on a computer within their house, and there's been changes to LECA where the person can even remain anonymous. So it just allows more opportunity for people to make public complaints, basically. With respect to patrol hours for September and October, and again too, there's lots of good information in here. A really significant increase in motorcycle operation. Marine, we did see a little bit of a decrease, and I do know specifically our launch, or one of our large vessels, required repair and was in for pretty significant repair for a little period of time, so that may have impacted just that 2-month window there. Bicycle patrol was down for the 2 months for September and October, and I'm going to check into that one to kind of follow up on that, because that is a big priority of mine. However, I was very refreshing to see that, again, that we're still keeping very good momentum on foot patrols, and we have increased 18.83% with respect to foot patrols. So I know, and again too, it's always challenging, because I am, when I'm out and about, I'm always watching, I'm always seeing where our people are, and I am seeing people out there doing things, and I think it comes down again to data integrity and making sure it's for us, it's our constant reminder and education to our members to make sure they're capturing the hard work and the great work they're doing properly in our daily activity reporting system, because it's almost like a punch clock, where every activity that they do during their day, they capture it in this electronic platform. But if it's only as good as the information that it's receiving. So we're just trying to make sure they're scoring things properly. But very nice to see the foot patrols are up. And basically, I do have a couple follow-up items from previous that were kind of brought to our attention. One in particular being loud exhaust and kind of the action being taken. So I did get some feedback, and just to be able to report back. We did do, again, engaged our officers. We created a focus patrol. We had officers specifically go out to look for loud exhaust, modified exhaust systems, etc. And I kind of observed this myself a little bit. It seems like maybe 2 years ago, a year ago even, it was a very common popular thing for people to do with their vehicles, especially young people, to modify their cars and that. It seems like that's not really a popular thing now. It seems to be decreasing in popularity with people wanting to do that to their cars, so which is kind of good to see. In any event, Detachment was engaged. We did some social media posts as well to educate everybody about what you can and cannot do as far as mechanical items to your car, and one charge was laid during that portion. The other item that I did have as well was, I believe Madam Chair raised about a citizen being concerned about a 16th of July rash of property crimes, theft from vehicles. So Staff Sergeant Braceland did a deep dive into this and looked into it, and she found 9 occurrences. And out of the 9 occurrences, 2 were actually dispatched to an officer directly for an officer to attend, commence an investigation, and so forth. All the others, so the 7 others, were received and went direct to our FSU reporting system, so Frontline Support Unit, which they have a whole category of specific calls for service that they will attend to. Basically, and I'm not demeaning anything or minimizing anything, because, a property crime, even if it's theft of tools from a shed, is still, you're a victim, and it's very significant, very impactful and hurtful for people. However, when they look at those type of crimes, they felt best that FSU could be the ones to kind of handle. They are police officers. They will take the information, and they're centralized. So they will take that and they will add the report on and deem any action that needs to be taken. But it's more for reporting circumstances. They generate an occurrence number. That's how they kind of deal with it. In saying that, I'm very glad that this was brought to my attention, because sergeants on the road do have the ability, obviously, to monitor. And, you come in, usually, I remember typically on a Saturday morning for your day shift, or maybe a Sunday morning, and there'd be 15, they just kept coming in, like theft from vehicles, and generally it was the same geographic area. And so you typically kind of know it's going to be the same person or persons responsible. So when it's that in nature too, we always encourage our sergeants to be listening and then to dispatch officers, because that could potentially be 5 to 30 to 50 different offenses. And, there could be evidence left at scenes. There could be that really, really would value an officer physically attending and investigating. So the sergeant does have the ability to override dispatch and say, yeah, I would actually like an officer to attend and do that. So we're gonna communicate that with our platoons and our sergeants to follow on. And I think, subject to any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. And Member Cruz.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, Inspector Tate answered both of my questions and concerns with the theft reporting and the traffic enforcement with respect to loud mufflers, aftermarket parts enforcement, the obstructed plates and all that kind of stuff. If sounds like they're on it, and it sounds like with the stats report today, your detachment is doing great work, and thank you for that, and crime is down, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Member Vanden Rishi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation. It's always interesting to see the stats. I have a curiosity question. It says that it's location code or detachment 60. Does Detachment 60 then incorporate New Credit, Mississaugas of the New Credit? Is that what it just says that here? I just wondered what that meant. What does that mean?
Every detachment in the Ontario Provincial Police has a duty location. So Norfolk County Detachment is 6000.
Yep.
Depending where you go, Southern Georgian Bay, which is up in Midland area, for example, where I worked years ago, is 1K00. And I really wish I knew how those codes came about, but I really am at a loss.
Okay, I'm just curious, do you patrol or do you not patrol New Credit? I don't think so.
No, we don't.
Okay,
No.
it just seems to be a curiosity to me to see those on there. Anyway, I'm going to go, if I may, Madam Chair, thank you. When we talk about public complaints, and am I misinterpreting this? Is this public complaints of an officer or is it just public? Because I'm getting a misconception here.
Yeah, absolutely. There are public complaints, so a member of the public has made a complaint against an officer. And specific to that, they then break it down. There's 3 different categories that a public complaint can be put in, and that is for conduct, for policy, or for service. And the 4 that we have specifically are for conduct.
Okay. And obviously, it's a lot more than it has been in the past. So do you have any concerns with that, or are you addressing it, and it's not my ballywick?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, like I said, I'm being very realistic and being very cognitive and understanding that, unfortunately in our business, there are people that we do have to deal with in different circumstances and so forth that may not be happy with the outcome.
I totally get you, because I find today we are, even as counselors, getting more and more complaints against us. And it's just the nature of the beast and the time, I think. I just wanted to realize that.
Yeah.
So when we talked about the patrol hours that you do out there, where do you mostly patrol? Like, is it an equal amount all over? Do you spread that out? Or is it where the demand is, or where you think some frequency of occurrence can happen?
Great question, and it's a little bit of everything. Everything that you said. We're always policing nowadays too is heavy analytically based. Looking at metrics reporting and looking at heat scores and high volume of calls for service, population bases, certain specific kinds of crimes that are happening. All those things are factored in. We do have zones throughout Norfolk County that officers are assigned to. Some have a much higher call volume. For example, the town of Simcoe would have a very much higher call volume overall than maybe some of the outlying areas in the county. In saying that, though, we still have officers that are assigned to those zones that do patrol, and as I know you're aware of many that you'll see traveling through your area too. But again, too, we're always kind of looking at that specific to even say property crime, where we do experience some significant issue with in a certain area. We will encourage the officers in that area, but we'll also generate a focused patrol. It's like a multi-layered approach to trying to deal with it.
And I thank you for that, because the public wants to know that there are officers out there in the rural areas that are patrolling, and I see it myself. But it's good to know, because we do extend all the way to 19, and that's a big, vast area. And it's nice to see a cruiser travel whatever roads to kind of look like we're all out there. So we do appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, no other questions? I just wanted to, sorry, member.
Yeah, so many, thank you, Chair. Hey, to Inspector Tate there. So This is not a critical question. It's going to sound like that, but it's not how I mean it. I have people in my ward that tell me that they call and they don't get a response. And like, I'm not saying boo to you guys, but I wanted to know what to tell them when they say that, because I understand that there's a threshold. Can you help me understand and help the public understand what is the threshold to get a response? Or if there is one.
Yeah, and that would be specific to what is the call for service? What are they, whom are they calling? Because quite often if they are calling the police, the OPP specific to Norfolk County, there's 911. So obviously we all know how 911 is generated and works through. But also there's the OPP non-emergency number, the 1-888 number. So there is that mechanism as well. So people calling that, regardless, they're going to get a call taker at the communication center at London, basically report whatever they want to pursue and whatever they are reporting with that call taker. The call takers are specially trained in assessing, analyzing, breaking down what the person, kind of walking them through, because obviously some people are emotional or some people just need some support, right, in trying to identify what the issue is. They'll help them do that, and at the same time, the call taker will determine, okay, I think this is worthy of police dispatch. Then they collect all the person's information. The dispatchers, they're all in the same area. It goes right to the dispatcher, and the dispatcher will then dispatch the officers.
Okay, so it's a London dispatch.
Yes.
Okay, so and I don't mean to, sorry, I should have been more specific. It's not about serious issues. It's about, well, they are all serious, but it's not like there's a robbery in progress or there's danger. That's what I'm saying. But it's, things like, I reported this sign is down and no one's come, or there's trespassing or there's noise. Like, these are the things that are serious, and we do care about them, but they're not an immediate risk is what I'm wondering about. And so I guess, as I'm making notes here, I wrote, is there a way that the Police Services Board or council or whatever it is, whatever the mechanism is there a process or an opportunity to have something similar to like the volunteer firefighter program, that like the firefighters provide an extremely valuable service, but they're not professional firefighters. So we get that that life-saving and those really important things without having to have professional firefighters. Is there a secondary opportunity for policing that can respond to calls for speed enforcement or trespassing or noise, or somebody hit a sign on the road and so someone needs to go out there and check it out, but it doesn't require an investigation? Like, is there more that we can be doing to sort of separate some of those non-urgent or non-threatening from the threatening calls, so that the investigative work can be done by the professional police? Is there a way to do that?
And it's very interesting question too. These are great questions. There's a lot of developments going on in that realm and in that area as well, is specific to policing in general. And obviously a lot comes down to cost as well. So the associated cost with having uniformed member or members, we were talking about 911 calls. I do sympathize, but when we get a call for service for a 911 call or even an alarm call, it's a mandatory two-officer response for officer safety. You never ever want to have one officer attending by themselves. However, there is an associated cost to that. So I know the OPP, and again, it's all part of the CSBA under adequate and effective policing that they're looking at too. And I think they're looking at many creative ways. I know the OPP is specifically right now entertaining a lot of use of special constables to kind of really expand really their previous platform and what they were previously being used for. The OPP typically with special constables, that whole program, special constables were based out of Queen's Park. There are also some detachments would have special constables primarily doing court services, doing a court function. Special constables are in place doing security at our general headquarters in Aurelia, etc. So they're kind of looking at them and going, well, listen, these are highly trained people. Could they be helping? Could they be helping with relieving some of the pressure off of the uniform side of things, but also cost as well? So I wish I had more. There has been a big special constable review that the OPP has been undergone, and we are all, as detachment commanders, eagerly awaiting to see what comes out of that. But it could really expand what special constables are able to do, and maybe even getting more special constables.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to speculate. Do you have a sense of, like you say, you're eagerly awaiting? Like, is this something that you've been? And if it's not, I'm not. But do you have is this a year? Is it 3 years? Is it 5? Do you have a sense of like when we might see something? At a small rural municipal level, like, is there a sense of that timeline?
Well, I think we've been told it's going to be very, very shortly. So in the very near future we should, but I think it's going to be an evolving piece. So it's going to be first kind of baby steps. It's going to be like maybe they can now be expanded to do this role, and that's it. And then it may grow a little bit more, because we are seeing even down in Toronto Police, etc. They really, and again, it's different. It's a different, atmosphere, different use down there, but they use special constables a lot differently down there too. But
right. So when that does happen, and again, this is just my ignorance. So is that something that you or somebody from the OPP would bring to this board, or is that something that we'd have to request more information on and sort of keep tabs on it, because it wouldn't come forward unless we asked for it? Like, I just want to make sure that we don't miss the boat, and then we find out 5 years from now that had we only asked, we could have done. That's what I don't want that.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And what I can definitely do is I'll definitely flag it, and I think it would be even maybe a great opportunity for a presentation to, when we do see it coming in, just for somebody from one of our specialty people, like from GHQ or whatever, can come and speak to it. And answer questions and do that too. The other caveat to it as well is, aside from that, and again too, it may be a very limited scope in what they're able to do, and maybe not perhaps, report on if somebody has a sign knocked down or etc. I would still very, very much encourage people to call the 1-888 number, even if it's a non-emergency, because that way it's documented. An occurrence number will be generated, and it will be, that situation very, very likely either dispatched or, again, assessed, and maybe go to our frontline support unit, FSU, just to be able to keep track of and document this sort of thing. That is by far the best, most efficient way, I think, for people to report things.
Thanks for that. And I do tell people that, and as you can imagine, when they're wound up, maybe not about a sign, but they're wound up about things that affect them, so speeding or noise or these other things where it's like, but what about me? Like that sort of, how can I get help? Telling them that their concerns become data, as you might imagine, doesn't really solve their emotions in the moment. So I was looking for, but that you've been really helpful with that. So I hope that at some point, because I am worried about cost too, that we can have FSU or special constables that do respond, and there's no, I don't know the rules, and I don't know the risks, and I don't know anything at all. But as far as like just sitting there and doing speed monitoring or sitting at an intersection so that the public sees that the police are taking it seriously, is where I'm trying to get at here, without costing us millions of more dollars having uniformed officers that could be doing investigative work or fighting crime in the streets, doing those types of things. So I just have another subject. Okay, so I wanted to ask you about the year-to-date 40.6% increase in e-ticket warnings. If you want to go down to that back, it was near the end.
Sorry, I'll just bring this.
No, it's all right. I'll see if I can still have it up here, and I'll tell you the page. It's got 2 blue boxes, if that helps you find it visually before having to read all those headlines. But it's page 20. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Got that?
I do.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So okay, so there's 40.6 year-to-date change in e-ticket warnings. So this suggests to me that speeding is a pretty big deal if there's e-tickets that are that much. Like that's a huge, to me it's a huge number. Maybe it's not, but it's a huge number. And so I have a couple questions about that. So when we see that there are e-ticket warnings that are up 40% year-to-date, year-over-year, does that get reflected in enforcement? Like when we see a number like that, like what does that tell you, and then what does that lead to, I guess is what I'm trying to get at here.
And the e-ticket warnings, when you see an e-warning, as we call them, it's a much better system now because everything's computerized. Yep. So again, everything's documented now, and the best part is back in the day, if you were going to, say you stopped a motor vehicle for speeding, you're going to issue them a ticket for speeding, but you know, maybe they don't have their ownership with them, maybe there's a myriad of other issues as well. You'll lay the one ticket, and then you would just verbally say to the person, okay, I'm going to give you a warning on these 3 other items, kind of thing. There was no way to quantify, qualify, track that data at all. So now with e-tickets, they will generate e-warnings for each warning in addition to the charge that they may have laid as well. So where it looks optically that, you know, officers are perhaps patrolling, going out, stopping motor vehicles for various offenses, and then just simply warning them, giving them e-warnings, that's not always the case. Mm-hmm. In saying that though, where the e-warnings, there are numbers now associated, so we're very closely watching now at detachment levels, but also at our regional level. We have a whole dashboard now that we now review, and the biggest thing for us right now are traffic stops, because we want to see a high level of traffic stops out of our members, because traffic stops means that the officers are physically stopping the cars. And as we all know, yes, it may be for highway traffic offenses, but oftentimes stopping a motor vehicle leads to many other things as well. So we're really encouraging that, and specific to warnings though, we're trying to change the narrative, and I know, but it's a great question. We're trying to change the narrative a little bit, even regionally, but organizationally right now. This is a very timely question. Previously, the messaging that we gave to our members was traffic stops, traffic enforcement is huge. We want you, obviously it's part of your job, so make sure that you're doing this. But a warning is just as good as an actual charge. But we're finding that statistically, when you look at the unfortunate circumstances with fatal motor vehicle collisions and tragedies that are occurring, that there's been many studies, many reports on that subject about a warning versus a charge. And it's irrefutable that a warning just does not have the same impact in curbing people's driving behavior. So we now at Norfolk County Detachment are currently just underway right now. I'm meeting with the sergeants first, and then tomorrow is our first meeting with the platoons, and we're meeting with everybody, all the officers, to change the narrative and to change it to traffic enforcement, traffic stops, and traffic enforcement through ticketing. So it's kind of it's a very good communication to go out to the public right now that this is an organizational push. This is something that I am personally asking my officers to do, because I want to, it goes all towards our motor vehicle collision reduction strategy. I want to make the roads as safe as possible for all of us and for the whole community out there. So that's why we're going to be taking more of an enforcement edge.
That's great. And then just as on a personal note, I think I got to tell you, I feel a lot more confident with a detachment commander that has the classic police mustache. That is intense, and you look very, menacing or whatever. So anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Very, and I was actually going to apologize at the beginning of the thing to put all of you and expose you all to this. So, but thank you.
Is it Movember? There you go. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Inspector Tate, for that overview of the statistics for September and October. I wanted to make a couple notes, one which was just touched on, and I just want to reiterate speed. It's such a big issue here in the community of Norfolk. We have a lot of rural roads where people take advantage of the speed limits and not adhering to them, and it's nice to know that there is a direct not task force, but initiative from your end in terms of that. And I think it does need to be the ticketing, and let's try and make some difference, because three out of four of us here are counselors as well, and I'd have to say that that's probably one of our number one complaints that we get are traffic issues and speed and running stop signs and rolling stops and just all kinds of not safe activity in the community. So, Member Very?
Sorry, I just want to add, though, it's not necessarily related to Andy, but one thing for the public is that with our new traffic project manager, whatever his name, Jack, and that, like, he's been doing, just so people know, they are doing speed studies and doing some real work on this, and so I've been talking to Jack back and forth just about Dover. I don't know about the rest, but that there are reports coming where they've actually done some of the roads that are highly contentious. So with that, I imagine that's only going to help the OPP, but I just want people to know that Norfolk County itself is actually taking this very seriously with our traffic plan as well. So.
Yes, that's a good point. Mr. Reddy has been working very diligently on all issues all over the county. So that's a great point to make. And the other thing, I've been kind of following this for the last several months, and I'm a little concerned about the decrease in the victim services. So it's such a great program, and I know it's a very difficult program to go back and get feedback on. You don't want to go back to somebody who's gone through a trauma and say, just wondering, can you tell me why you didn't take the services? So it's not really something that we can look at that way. So I like the idea of addressing the platoons and making sure that everyone is really aware of this program and the importance that it plays, not just for the impact of the moment, but far-reaching consequences, as days and weeks and months go by and they may need additional support. So I'm very glad to hear that you're working on that. So I do want to ensure that this program stays very relevant in our community, because we do lack, we are a rural community and we do lack some of the resources that larger cities have, and this is a great program. So I just wanted to make that point. So, okay. With that, do I need to get a motion to accept? Yeah. Can I just get a motion to receive the September, October stats? Oh, sorry. Did you have a question? No, I can wait till after. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay, so a motion to accept this information. Member Cruz, seconded by Member Veery. All those in favor? And that is carried. Next on our agenda is 9.2, actually. It was 9.3. 2024 Annual Report, and that would be Andy Tate, the Inspector Detachment Commander.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'll keep it very brief. Just wanted to make more of an announcement to obviously, my respected colleagues here in the board, but also to the general public, that the OPP 2024 annual report is now available for public viewing. So it's very exciting. There's a lot of statistical report backs. There's a lot of information. It's all electronic as well, so it's very easy to navigate, and there's a lot of information. One of the things in particular, even with the OPP expanding certain areas specific to, again, Councillor Very was mentioning about different reporting techniques and tactics that we can maybe start utilizing. The OPP is really expanded their online reporting, so people do have that platform as well to go right onto an OPP site and they can report offenses or issues or situations directly into this portal that then gets received and dealt with too. And kind of paralleling to that, some highlights with the annual review that it touches on. Officers responded to more than 2.4 million calls for service, including nearly 966,000 911 calls. And that's in the province of Ontario with the Ontario Provincial Police. Mental health related calls were handled on average every 17 minutes in the province. Traffic enforcement remained a priority with approximately 441,000 traffic stops and over 11,500 impaired driving charges laid. Seatbelt related charges rose by 32%. So again, I don't want to steal the thunder out of the report, but just some really key highlighted items in there. I know even the online reporting they've been able to do a lot of call diversions. So calls that typically the OPP would have sent dispatched officers to. There's many different levels now that things are being dealt with instead of physically requiring 2 officers or 1 officer to attend there. But again, to the report, I think more importantly too, probably the biggest item in my perspective is it really commemorates a landmark moment for the Ontario Provincial Police, and that's 50 years of women in OPP uniform. So again, we've done tons of initiatives for that and to really promote and just to really show how valuable that is to our organization as well. But really encourage everybody to go in and take a look at it, and by all means reach out to us, and if you have questions, you want to talk about any of the items.
That's great to know, and thanks for mentioning that. I do know that our communications department through Norfolk County did share that on their site, and I shared that as well, so that's good to know. Member Very, did you have your hand?
Yeah, I just, can we say to the public in the meeting where to get that report, please?
Sure, absolutely. I'm terrible with computer language here, but basically you can go into, the easiest way to find it is opp.ca.
Okay.
If they go onto that website, you can very quickly navigate to the actual specific site for it. There's a link for it.
Okay.
Okay, great.
That's good, thank you.
All right, anything else? All right, and can I get a motion to receive that as information? Member Van Rishi, seconder. Member Very, all in favor? And that is carried. All right, the next item on the agenda is Crime Stoppers of Haldeman, Norfolk funding request. If you'd like to join us at the podium, Member Very, can you make sure that they have a working microphone there, please?
Good morning and thank you for having us. My name is Pino Darmiento. I am the chair for Haldeman and Norfolk Crime Stoppers. So I just want to begin by thanking Norfolk OPP Detachment Board for the opportunity to once again present the Crime Stoppers of Haldeman and Norfolk annual achievements, events, and future endeavors. Our nonprofit charitable organization, combines the best efforts of the community, the media, and the police in the fight against crime. This year we are celebrating our 37th anniversary. We could not have reached this milestone without the support of partnership of the law enforcement. We are proud of the combined work we share to educate the public and create awareness of the illegal activities while promoting values of safety and inclusion. 2024 proved to be another successful year. We are very proud of the tips received from our communities, which resulted in charges, arrests, property recoveries, and more. In 2024, Crime Stoppers of Haldeman and Norfolk received 457 new reports, which resulted in 33 arrests, 144 charges, and over $65,000 in drugs seized and $320,000 in property recovered. Our current economic environment continues to be a challenging one. Our organizations authorized $7,900 in rewards for tips received in 2024 alone. Our fundraising depends solely on individuals and organizations. The needed funds for 2024 were secured through our annual golf tournament, barbecue, raffle tickets, shredding days, and charitable donations such as yours. Our volunteer board of directors ensures that we are present throughout the year at local craft shows, fairs, parades, and much more. These events are a secure of opportunities for spreading awareness. We continue to support and participate in all around Haldeman and Norfolk communities. Crime Stoppers is grateful for the previously provided donation by you, and we are respectfully request you'd consider including a $5,000 donation, which would be significantly provide funds to help keep our organization thriving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I have any questions from the members? Member Vanden Rishi?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. And thank you so much for all the work that you do in the communities. It's wonderful. Just a question of how's 25 looking? Are there a lot more reports that have come in, or what are you thinking about 25?
Hi, I'm Amy Bernardo, coordinator of the program. So we're relatively right on par to where we were for 2024. Our stats, as we're 2025, as we're coming almost to the conclusion of 2025, our stats will come out in January for Crime Stoppers Month for 2025. So relatively on par in terms of tips that have been received. I'm not 100% sure on these stats for the arrests and all the other recovered values, etc. But I know tips were pretty on par.
Well, that's amazing then. It's good to see that the system is working, what you're doing is working, and people are picking up on it and using the opportunity to make those calls and help out the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for everything you do in the community. I just wanted to confirm with you the actual ask of the donation.
So as in, it does say request if you would consider including the $5,000 donation.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to double check that one.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you very much. Oh, Member Veery?
Just, can you clarify or just give us a sense of what is the money for? Like more, as not specifically, but more specifically than just.
So, as it's stated in my my request, that our organization has authorized over $7,900 in rewards for tips that were received. So it goes towards tips. It goes towards some of the other stuff of helping us keep us afloat, right? Like we may need some of the funds to. The big priority and the big issue is to keep the tips going and promotion material and stuff like that.
Okay, that's what I was more wondering, was the $5,000 for the tips payouts, or was there other administrative and other overhead? That's all I was trying to get at. So I guess, do you have?
Sorry, I just wanted to add another thing. For example, every year we do a fentanyl initiative, right? So that's another big ask where that money can go, the board will set up we call it a fentanyl initiative. And what we do is for a few months, any information that comes in that results in a arrest of a fentanyl trafficker and or a very significant seizure during that specific time frame, that is $1,000 payout to that tipster. So, you know, $5,000 would also go towards that initiative, which we've done in the past. I'm assuming the board will go ahead and continue in 2026. We've done it in the past few years. I'm assuming that they'll do that as well. So that's another initiative that these funds can be used
Yeah,
for.
that's kind of what I was getting at. So these aren't, this 5,000 isn't specifically earmarked for any one thing. It goes into the general operating. It's fine. I just wanted to understand if this was, it's all fine.
Yep.
So, you know, if we're paying bounties on fentanyl, I'm all about it. That sounds good to me. So, yeah, thank you.
Member Cruz?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. I don't have any questions for the Crime Stoppers people, other than a comment saying great work, and I certainly support your organization for its great work, and I always have. My question is more towards our budget this year. Is now the time to talk about that, or no?
Yes, just let me ask this question, and then I'll have another, I'll have an answer, I think, for you.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify, this ask for up to $5,000 is for 2026, correct?
Yes.
Phew. Okay, all right, go ahead, Member Cruz.
Okay, thank you. I know that in 2023, this board, our board, made a $2,500 donation. 2024, Crime Stoppers asked for $5,000, and we decided a $3,000 donation would be sufficient. And so, if this request is for, then we're missing 2025?
It is 20, sorry. My apologies. It is 2025, sorry.
Sorry, okay, all
Okay,
right.
so if it is the 2025 ask, I know that earlier on this year, we committed to anywhere between a $6,000 to $10,000 commitment for the DARE project, the OPP DARE project. We also committed $2,316.36 towards 2 bikes for the OPP. And I don't know how much money's left in our, I think as of September, the September meeting, I thought we had $8,000 for community projects. And if that's-
In total?
Yeah,
Yes.
and if that's the case-
My understanding from the Finance Committee is that we currently have $2,700 available in our budget.
Okay,
Okay?
so then we can't commit to anything above that.
That would be correct. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you very much for your deputation.
Thank you.
At this time, could I just get a motion to accept the presentation as information? Member Cruz, seconded by Member Van den Rishi. All those in favor? And that is carried. So now what we need to do is we need to discuss the ask and the finances that we have available. Would anyone like to start? Member Cruz.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and through you. I'm happy to support the Crime Stoppers for the remaining $2,700 in our budget for 2025.
Member Veery?
I'll second it just so we can discuss it. Is that a motion? I don't know if that's a motion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll second it, but then I have a question.
Okay.
Do we anticipate any other requests at this point?
I wouldn't believe so, not in the 2025 budget.
That's good. Okay.
No, there's no historic, I think we've received all of our asks. So, okay, so we have a motion, we have a seconder, and so that would be, I'm just going to say that we'll include in up to 27, we always say up to, so up to $2,700. So, with that, may I have a vote? All those in favor? And that is carried. Yes, Member Van den Rishi?
Thank you. Just a question of procedure. We're always seeming to come after the fact, after the year has been operated. Is there any thought of splitting it up even? Like if we know we have budget for 26, like 25, 20, any way to correct that so that we're kind of on board for in advance? In my opinion anyway, for further discussion maybe later or something.
So a question would be, so what you would be looking at is that funding requests come at the beginning of the year?
I think that would be good. I think that way we know what our budget is, we know what some of our obligations are, and maybe going back to budget of council to request a little bit more because of what our involvement is with
Okay.
with the Crime Stoppers and other organizations with public safety.
Okay, that's a good point. I guess it is difficult to, for an entity like Crime Stoppers, we could certainly request that they come forward at the beginning of the year. Obviously, some of the other requests that we've had they didn't know that those were going to be the requests in January. So that's some food for thought for sure. So, okay. Next on the agenda is, it was item 9.1, but it's 9.4 now, and that is the increased theft from rural properties. I have been contacted as the chair of the OPP Detachment Board by several community members and have received calls and emails pertaining to the increase in the thefts in our rural communities. So obviously we had an issue this morning in terms of a farmer who does have a security system and has made some adjustments to that and a little bit of understanding how that works. But the one conversation in particular that I had was from a gentleman who said that these thefts are just getting so brazen, and the things that are being stolen, and it was kind of the quads and those type of recreational vehicles from the rural properties, but now they're getting into farm equipment and tools and things like that, and it's there's got to be, I mean, in layman's terms, there's got to be a little method to the madness here, because not that I condone the stealing of quads by any way, shape, or form, but you kind of get what the payoff is for that. When you're looking at stealing farm equipment and tools, there's a plan for these. People don't just randomly go into a barn and think, oh, I'm going to steal all this farm equipment. There's some plans for it. So I was just wondering, Inspector Tate, if you could speak to that, and if your detachment has any input and what your thoughts are.
No, definitely. It's, speaking again to earlier, we were discussing property crime and the significant impact, ATVs, quads, etc. I know our CSCU unit, again, very, very, very impactful with drugs in the community and targeting drugs and doing that specifically. With respect to specific to property crime, that is under their mandate too. So I believe it was, excuse me, your indulgences here. It was the beginning of September, 3rd of September, I believe it was. We had an opportunity to look at property crime. I wanted to make it a priority. I didn't want our CSU to, take their foot off the pedal as far as drugs and that. That's always a big concern. We always have to keep doing that. But I did challenge them a little bit to make property crime a big push and a big thing. We were starting to see at that point, a lot of it was really all over our detachment area, but a lot in kind of the west corners, like the northwest corner and stuff. We were seeing significant property crime and a lot of ATVs, etc. So I really challenged our CSCU team to start to put together a strategy to impact that. Very, very, very pleased to see that early September, we did have a pretty significant noteworthy investigation. It was by our CSU members collaborating and pulling resources from our syndicate, so from Brant CSU, from Oxford CSU, Middlesex, etc., to come in and to really look at there was drug enforcement, but also property. As a result, there was an address in Norfolk County, kind of a little bit in the I would say southwest corner, that a warrant was executed. As a result, large quantity of cannabis-related products were seized. There was an illegal operation being underway there. Assets were seized. Property. There's a large quantity of stolen property that was located there that was seized as well. And with the assistance, there was stolen and closed utility trailers, an assortment of tools, etc. The total of this whole executed warrant for property crime and for drugs was $6,819,000. So everything combined, cannabis, if you factor in the drugs, the property seized, that was the ticket. That was the value attributed, the total impact on that. It did also effectively shut down this illegal cannabis operation, because we do see that stolen property and illegal cannabis production, that kind of go hand in hand a little bit. So that was a very, 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 obviously a very impactful event. 29th, kind of moving forward to the 29th of October, again, they kept momentum going. There was a property, search warrant was executed on Wyndham Road in Wyndham Road 14 in that area. And again, to a total of lots of property, lots of vehicles, quads, ATVs. That was kind of we had a person of interest. It came to fruition. It was executed. There were arrests made, charges made. The total drugs and property recovered, there was $81,000 worth of stuff. So more importantly, this person of interest was somebody that was very, very prolific and very active in that area. And I spoke with street crime, the detective sergeant yesterday, just getting kind of an update on property crime vis-a-vis ATVs, tools, like that sort of thing. And we have noticed a marked decrease since this individual was arrested and charged. So there was an impact laid, obviously pretty significant, two events there as far as property crime. And again, the kudos, the credit goes completely to our detectives and that in that specialty unit and their partners at other detachments and resources that they brought in to eradicate that issue.
Okay. Member Van Rishi?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. When I take a look at, or I think about the rural area and equipment that's outside, and especially the four-wheelers, the side-by-sides, is there a blitz or something can be said that four-wheelers, side-by-sides, all this type of equipment, unless you're using a farm slow vehicle sign going from farm to farm, is illegal on the road? Okay, and it doesn't stop. There's so many, and these people don't have more than an acre that their property is, maybe, or a home or whatever, and they purchase four-wheelers and side-by-sides. There's not a lot of places where you can drive them unless you go to a specific area. And do we attempt to stop some of these individuals and educate them on the fact that they are not supposed to be on the road?
Absolutely. Okay. But in saying that, We do have provincial standards. We have
Right.
OPP standards with suspect apprehension pursuit policy, fail to stop policy. Kind of in a nutshell, motorcycles, ATVs, etc., shall not be pursued. Obviously, for the public safety issue, and just the safety, overall safety, and that for property crime. So, very challenging. It makes it very, very challenging. Our officers are fully engaged in patrol. I know a number of instances where they have come across ATVs being operated on roadways. They, in their lawful authority, go to conduct a traffic stop, and the person looks back, and then just off they go.
Oh, no, I get
Off
it.
the thing, so-
I get all that.
Yeah.
But if we could have some sort of campaign or statements being made that, remember, parents, that it is still illegal to be on the roadway. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is maybe an education program for us farmers as well. Sometimes when you're farming, you will leave a trailer out, or you'll leave sometimes even the tractor sitting out, and older farmers and a lot of people will leave the keys in because you're going to jump back in. But in the meantime, there's a lot of people with, 3/4 ton pickups, and they're running around, and they can grab a lot of trailers and a lot of equipment that's out there and can be easily drawn by a heavier truck. So a little bit of education on that as well, as we all are farmers, that equipment should be properly secured as well, to try to remind people, because it's too easy when you're driving around and you see trailers, or you see wagons, or and they can drop them off and put them in marketplace, and they're gone again for another few $1,000s. So, it's an avenue where those who want to do illegal things can do it very simply. So just a reminder that maybe that could be somehow maybe a news bulletin that goes out or something for everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely duly noted, and I know too. It's always very, and I completely understand with our farming community too, especially during the season when it's busy, long hours, extremely long hours, and sometimes it's just easier. I'll leave it parked here. Obviously, the equipment has a significant monetary value. They're very expensive. There is a market, especially what we're finding. Trailers seem to be a very, very high-end, resold item. I would encourage anybody. We have had a couple situations where people have purchased items at auctions, etc., and only to be told later, with police attending on their doorstep, that this item is stolen. It's stolen property, and that. So people really have to do your due diligence. Really, if a deal seems too good to be true, it generally is. Ask the questions. They can always come to our detachment to ask for advice as well. And, we're always there the best we can, using our experts to try to support them.
Thank you very much. So with that, could I have a motion to accept that as information? Member Van Rishi and a seconder, Member Cruz, all those in favor? And that is carried. Now, with that, before we depart, I need to, I have an email here from our clerk. And I just wanted to share with you that the email says, "My apologies. I misspoke on the revenue from false alarm calls. I was off by a 0. It's not 0.5%. It's 0.05% on the levy budget." And I just wanted to clarify that for everybody who would be listening. So just before we go to adjournment, correspondence arising from previous business. There are none, and there are no bylaws. So just with some of the reports that we've heard today, it's very clear that the issues that a lot of people are having here in Norfolk County. Our OPP detachment is aware. They've got plans in place to address these issues. I do want to make sure that people, if your car is broken into, and even if it's just chain stolen or, whatever you may have in your vehicle and you're thinking it's not an insurance claim, please report it to the non-emergent number. That number is 1-888-310-1122. The OPP need these stats to continue to work on where they're going to be planning their next task force, their next blitzes, and things like that. So it's very important that you call. And as always, if it is an emergency, please dial 911. But please use that non-emergent number so that we can get accurate stats of activities and things like that in the community. Oh, and the number again is 1-888-310-1122. Okay. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn at 11:15 a.m.? Member Van Rishi, seconded by Member Veery. All those in favor? And this meeting is adjourned, and we will see you in January, and have a lovely holiday season. Thank you.